Hey everybody, Chris with Night of Living Card Games. Back again for day 16 of my first Earthborne Rangers campaign. We are neck deep in the swamp trying to find the lost artificer. Excuse me. To hopefully flood out the reclaimers and save the valley. So, we are going to mark the day in our campaign trail. Okay, so we are on day 16. We are still in a downpour weather. The missions we've got are the Lost Brother, which we have to get to the Marsh of Rebirth, remove the Reclaimers, which is tied to the Lost Brother, and then Invasion Stage 2. So if we're in a ruin force or mountain location, add the Reclaimer Polyp, but we are not, because we're starting in Michael's Bog, and that is not. But because it has been a day since we received the mission, we do have to shuffle one Reclaimer Seeker into the path deck. All right. So looking at Michael's Bog, it is 3 presence, 4 per ranger. Progress threshold, it starts with 0 toxins, and as a blue mountain effect, it says add 1 toxin. If there are more toxins than rangers, the swamp gas fills the air to discard all toxins and add an equal amount number of harm to a being. And it says amidst the swirling white mist, you can barely make out the shape of the ruin. Nearly swallowed up by mounds of grass and half sunken in the murky water, Calypsa told you that the whole bog was named after the first artifact an intrepid explorer found within, a red steel device of unknown purpose inscribed with the characters -TY of Michael. So, we've got it. Lead Ranger instructions is go find a copy of Fetid Bog and put it in play, which I've already done. So let's draw our opening hand here. Mucus, Versatile, Oru, my sketchbook, Bold, and another Oru. Well, I don't need Oru. I'm not going to do the Reclaimer Mucus. I like Oru, and the sketchbook is really useful. Bold is great. I think I'm going to mulligan Versatile and do 3 more. Walk with me, my headset, and quiet. All right. I was hoping to get a boundary sensor in to help me get out of here, but that's okay. Still looking pretty good so far. All right, so start of the round, we draw a path card. We found Calypsa. Wandering around the swamp, we found our mentor. You come across Calypsa in the middle of a field as she is teaching something to Cal Ivor. She waves you over. I've just been discussing some lessons with Cal, she says. Care to sit in? And it says, clear Calypsa with progress to learn from the wise ranger. So I think we'll be doing that a little bit. But first, we got to play some stuff. So we are going to do 2 spirit for Oru the sheepdog. Oru the sheepdog will then move Calypsa along and add 2 progress to her. I'm going to spend 2 to get quiet out. I will spend 1 awareness to get my sketchbook out with 2 sketches. I will spend 1 focus to get my phonoscopic headset out. Let's see here. There's no point, actually, There kind of is. So I am going to try to pet Oru. So a fit plus connect against a threshold of 1. So I'm 1 to 1. 0. So I succeed. So by succeeding, I get to ready this being and soothe the fatigue. I don't have any fatigue to soothe, but I do get to ready Oru, so that's important. Red challenge effect, nothing in the weather, nothing at the location, nothing at the missions, nothing at the fetid bog, and then Calypsa is if there's an active predator. All right, so now that Oru is upright, I'm going to exhaust him again to go bring Calypsa closer and get another 2 progress on her. So I am up to 4. Calypsa gestures to the field around you. As rangers, we have a responsibility to the valley, not only to our friends and neighbors, but to the valley and every living being within it. Look around us, she says as you dutifully study the meadow in the swamp. The grasses, the bushes, the insects, the birds. The valley is full of life. When we move through it, we cannot help but affect it. She takes a few steps, then gestures behind her to the grass crushed beneath her boots. That's why we should think before we act. It can often be better to observe and otherwise avoid living things in the valley. And when we can't observe, she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a small chunk of meat. She tosses it into the middle of a field and you hear a screech. An eagle swoops down, pouncing on the morsel. Calypsa smiles. It can be better to distract. Exhaust 1 non-human being in play. I don't currently have any. Oh, no, I take that back. Quiet is a non-human enemy, so Quiet is exhausted. Of course, Calypsa says. There are a lot of beings in this valley. Sometimes there are too many to avoid or even to distract. Sometimes you have to press on, even when it's dangerous or tiring. Exhaustion, fatigue, these can be worthwhile trade-offs for accomplishing important tasks. You need to be willing to push yourself and tire yourself if you're going to get everything done in a day that needs to do. She looks at you and Cal. Perhaps a competition will teach you what I mean. Which of you can push themselves more? Shall we find out? If you take on this challenge, it will discard your current fatigue stack. I can either choose to agree to the test or say not today. I am going to agree to the test, especially since I have nothing in my fatigue stack to discard. Calypsa smiles. Very good. All right, go and suffer as much fatigue as you can, then come check back with me. Whoever pushes themselves further will get a reward. Cal grins at you. I wish you good luck, but all the luck in the world isn't going to help you beat me. Remove all progress and attach Helping Hand to Calypsa. Then each ranger discards their fatigue stack. All right, so now Calypsa is persistent. And then I have to go and get... I have to go get some fatigue and then clear her again. All right, that is that. I have 1 awareness. There's really nothing for me to do with 1 awareness. I could try to sketch Calypsa, but I mean, I'd be a 1 versus 2. That's not good odds. Although, if I do that, if I draw a yellow sun, I'll get fatigued. So, sure, we'll try it. 1 versus 2 to try to sketch Calypsa. -1, I fail. Red challenge effect, nothing comes into play. All right, so I am going to choose to rest. I don't have enough to travel, so we will just reset our energy. Ready our cards. Draw a card into Reclaimer Mucus. And now draw a path card. All right, Oravos Traveler. So she's looking for Quizzy. I've run into her enough that I'm not going to read her entry again. She's just looking for Quizzy. All right, so let's try to do a fitness test here to traverse the bog. So I'm a 3 versus a 3. I don't like those odds, so I am going to commit a bold and be a 5 versus a 3. I succeed with a 4 effort, so I get to put 4 progress on the location. And blue challenge effect, we get a toxin on there. And then the fetid bog says you may exhaust your roll. If you do not, this feature fatigues you. Well, currently it is a presence of 0 because it's equal to twice the number of face down cards attached to this feature. Yeah, so until a being is cleared by harm, nothing gets added to it. So I'm not going to exhaust. I just won't take any fatigue. All right. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to try to connect with Calypso just so I can be right there. So I will do 2 versus 2. +1, I succeed. Actually, no, I didn't want to do that. I'm going to say I'm connecting to Aura. The reason I said that, I should have thought this before. I'm going to cheat a little bit because now that I've seen that. If I clear her, I need to have fatigue if I want to win this competition. I don't know how much I need to have, but I need to have fatigue. So I don't want to connect with her yet because in this case, if I had gotten 3, then I will do that. So let me say I was doing it to Aura. So what is her thing? Let's see. Hey, I've been missing Quizzy for hours. Can you help her? And honestly, I'm going to say no. I don't want to have to go find Quizzy, so discarded. I get to heal 2 fatigue, but I don't have any fatigue to do. I'm going to try to remember my ranger training. 1 versus 1. Oh. Got to shuffle that up. There was no red crest challenge effects that came up. Alright, so let's try this again. 1 versus 1. Hey, I succeed. I know I fail because it's a 0. So I am a 1 versus 0, so I fail. Nothing bad happens though. But the sun does say I have to take a cloud off of downpour and fatigue 1. Awesome. Okay. We're going to try to sketch Calypso. 2 versus 2. +1, I succeed, so I get to add sketches equal to that being's presence. Blue Mountain. Oh. Well, we've got toxins, so I got to deal with that. So we clear it and then add harm equal to the being. So I got to add 2 harm. We'll say Calypso took this. No, I'm going to say that Oru took it. I hate to do it to the dog, but Oru and Quiet won't get hurt by if predators come out where Calypso could. So definitely don't want to deal with that. Okay, so there's nothing else I can do here. So we're going to rest. Do I want to travel? You know what? I think I am going to travel because Calypso is persistent now. So she's going to come with me. And so I think I am going to travel to this last location in the middle of the swamp, the Cypress Citadel. So I'll get that set up, and then we will reconvene when we get to the Citadel. We have arrived at the Cypress Citadel. Stepping between the imposing trunks and thick roots of a pair of towering cypress trees, you find yourself in a cathedral of greenery. Dragonflies, butterflies, and gnats drone lazily through the warm, still air. Cypresses rise up on all sides, their branches intermeshing to form a wall of leaves. The floor is a thin pool of still water that stretches from one end of the space to the other. Only a few centimeters deep, it reflects the filtered light back into the branches, giving the Cypress Citadel a green, diffuse glow. So the Cypress Citadel is a location, forest, and water traded. Since it is forest traded, I do have to add a Reclaimer Seeker and the Reclaimer. Well, I have to add the Reclaimer Polyp to it, and because it's been a day since the mission started, the Reclaimer Seeker is also shuffled in. Has a 3 presence, 5 per ranger threshold for progress, and it has a yellow challenge sun effect that says ready a path card. And for a rival setup, it says lead ranger draws 1 path card. Oh, we get Hydra Worms. Hydra Worms are nasty. So being, predator, biomeld, presence of 2, 5, harm threshold, 9, connect threshold, clear through harm. You feel the swamp shudder. Add 1 harm to each other Hydra Worm in play. And then Yellow Sun, if it has 1 or more harm, go find another Hydra Worm and put it in play. Blue Mountain is if there's another Hydra Worm in the same area, then move this being. And then red challenge effects, exhaust this being and suffer an injury. Yuck. All right. So that is that. So now we're in the refresh phase. So let's get our... that. Let us draw a card into Healing Touch. And that is it. So we are going to draw a path card. And it is a Fetid Bog. Okay. Let's see. So I've got Reclaimer Mucus, so I'm debating on whether or not I just slap it on the Hydra Worm so I don't have to deal with it. Because that would reduce his presence to 0. I don't think I'm going to. Although, yes, actually I am going to. I'm going to spend 1 to put the Reclaimer Mucus on the Hydra Worm. So it's attached to a path card. That's a path card. Reduce the attached card's presence by 2. And then if the attached card were to fatigue me, the ranger adds a harm to it. The reason I'm doing that is because now I can exhaust my sketchbook and spend 0 sketches to exhaust it because its presence is 0. So we're going to try to traverse here. So this is a 0, so it's not fatiguing me. Calypsa is friendly, so she doesn't fatigue me. And the Fetid Bog right now is a presence of 0, so it doesn't fatigue me. So I am a 3 versus a 3. Although, if I fail, I suffer an injury. But that'll fatigue me, so that's okay. I'll take it. +1, I succeed. All right, succeed with 4, so I get 4 progress on here. Yellow Sun, we take a cloud off, and I suffer fatigue. And then ready a path card. So, well, that Hydra Worm is readied again. Um, I mean, it really doesn't matter if the Hydra Worm is with me or not. I'll try to connect with the Hydra Worm. Sure. 2 versus 0, actually, because its presence is 0, right? I suppose 2 versus 1, because it has to be a minimum of 1. 0, so I succeed with a 2 effort, so I get 2 progress there. Blue Mountain, nothing, nothing. You may exhaust your roll. If you do not, this feature fatigues you. I will not. I will allow it to fatigue me. If there is another Hydra Worm in the same area, there is not. So what's my fatigue? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I'm figuring like 5 fatigue probably would be enough. But we'll see. All right, so I'm going to use Uru to move this guy along the way and add another 2 progress. And then we're going to try to remember my ranger training. So 1 versus 1. -1, I fail. Yellow sun. This comes down. Gets fatigued. Let's see. The Hydra Worm says, if this being has 1 or more harm, which it does not. That is it. That's about all I can do. I've got 1 awareness energy, but I mean, I guess I'll try to dodge the Hydra Worm 1-1 to avoid it. Or, yeah, 1-1 because the test has to be a minimum of 1. +1, I succeed. And red challenge effect, nothing happens. That was a reshuffle icon, so I'll reshuffle the challenge cards. All right, what's my fatigue stack looking like? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I am going to rest. I don't have enough progress to move, so I'm going to just ready all my cards. Recover my energy. Ready the Hydra Worm. And draw a card, which is another Healing Touch. All right, now we draw a new path card. Overgrown Ruin goes along the way. Feature Ruin Flora. 2 presence, 4 harm, 5 progress. Awareness plus exploration 2 to discover a way into the ancient structure to move your ranger token to the feature. It says clear with progress. If a ranger token is on this feature, delve into the ruins. Read entry 9.2. If you clear with harm, the crumbling structure churns the swamp. Draw a path card. If it is a Hydra Worm, it fatigues you. And then Blue Mountain says, if there's an active Hydra Worm, it damages the foundation. Add 1 harm to this feature. Okay, my turn. Let us exhaust my sketchbook and spend 0 sketches to exhaust that Hydra Worm. We're going to try that test on the ruins. So that is awareness plus exploration. I don't have any exploration icon, so I'm just going to go 2-2. 0, so I succeed, so I get to move my ranger token to that location. And then we get a yellow sun, so fatigues me 1. And now the weather flips. The location says ready a path card, so that means I have to, the only path cards that's exhausted is the Hydra Worm, so that comes up. And the Hydra Worm is if it has harm, which it does not. All right, I won't be able to get there. Oh, I got to shuffle the challenge deck. So I think I'm going to try a traverse test on this ruin. Let's see. I won't be able to get it cleared this turn, but we'll give it a try. We'll do as good as we can. So I am a 3 versus a 2. +1, so I succeed with a total effort of 4. Not quite enough. Yellow sun. Since the weather flipped, nothing happens there. There are no path cards to ready. Then the Hydra Worm has no damage, so nothing there. What's my fatigue at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to be at least 6, I think, before I do this. So I'm going to have Oru move Calypso along the way. To add 2 progress. That way, next turn I can just bring her back and then clear it if I get another fatigue. I am going to try to remember my ranger training. 1 versus 1, I succeed. Oh, and I'm using my phonoscopic headset with an effort of 2. So I get to scout 2 + 1, so 3 cards, and then draw 1. My boundary sensor, a versatile, and Oru. Well, I'm going to put Oru on the bottom. I'm going to keep boundary sensor as the top card. I'm going to put versatile underneath it because versatile is handy, and that would also allow me to fatigue. So I'm going to draw my boundary sensor. Actually, let me take a look at that real quick. Yeah, versatile. No. No, I'm gonna have versatile on top, and then I guess it doesn't matter. I'm gonna just leave it as is. And it's gonna be next turn anyway. I'm just like, I can use versatile as an icon and fatigue myself to do that. So, I'm not. Oh, blue challenge effect. So that is probably gonna ping me. So let's see here. Nothing in the weather, nothing at the location, nothing at the missions. Let's look at these along the way cards. For Calypso, it is add a progress token to a card because Calypso lends you a hand. That could be very useful. The Ancient Ruin says if there's an active Hydra Worm, which there is, deal damage to the structure. The Fetid Bog says either exhaust my roll or fatigues. And then the Hydra Worm says if there's another Hydra Worm in the same area, move the Hydra Worm. So, all right. So I'll do the Hydra, since I can do these in any order. Hydra Worm first, no other Hydra Worm there. No big deal. Fetid Bog, I am not going to exhaust my roll. I am going to fatigue me. Calypso will add a progress to a card. So I'm going to add it to the Ruins, which now means I have enough progress to clear it. So I get to clear that and read the end before I handle that card, so it goes away before I have to deal with that, and I am going to read this entry. You carefully pick through the vine-covered ruins. The ancient carbon composite walls are hidden by muck and moss, worn down by water and weather. You brush aside a layer of grime and find a map covered into the walls. It shows this building as well as a large cluster of buildings deeper in the swamp. If there are any artifacts worth salvaging, you'll probably find them in the Marsh of Rebirth. You step out of the ruins and get your bearings. Exhaust each being. That is a being, that's a being, that's a being. Okay, so that's great. But I don't know how to travel there now. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to keep looking in the area. There's got to be another card in here that allows me to find it. So, all right, yeah, nothing else for me to do. Sorry. I'm just trying to think, okay, what do I got to do? All right, so that was that. So I'm done there. Um, I'll try to connect with the Hydra Worm, I guess. 2 to 0. Technically 2 to 1. So I do succeed with an effort of 1. Blue, nothing matters because 2 of them are exhausted, and then let's see, what am I up to for exhaustion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, it can't hurt to have 1 more under there. I don't know what the threshold is, but that seems high enough. All right, that's all I can do. So I'm going to rest. I don't have enough progress to be able to travel, so I just have to reset all the cards. Get my energy tokens back, and then draw a card into my Hydra Lens goggles. That could be very useful. And draw a path card. Oh, I got to add 2 clouds to the weather. We have a black mud obstacle. All right. So we'll have to deal with that. We are going to, let's just start right now. Let's exhaust this sketchbook and spend 1 to exhaust the mud. I am going to exhaust Oru to bring Calypsa back here and add progress to her. So I am up to 4. So that will clear her with progress. Helping Hand is attached. You come panting back into the field, and Calypsa looks at you expectantly. So how did you do? Count the total fatigue between all rangers and read the corresponding entry. 0 fatigue. 1 to 4 per ranger fatigue, and then more than 4 per ranger. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I am more there. I guess I only needed to have 4. Calypsa raises her eyebrows. Oh my, very well done. You win the competition. She clasps your shoulder and slips a small badge into your hands and looks serious. Now just remember to not push yourself harder than you need to. As with so many things, we should try to find balance in our actions. Gain the Ranger Badge reward card, discard Calypsa, and return Helping Hand to the collection. Alright, I can't add the ranger badge yet, because again, you can only change your deck when you camp, which is a shame. I kind of wonder if the rule should have been you can make a deck change right when you receive a reward, the moment that you receive the reward. Otherwise, you have to wait until you camp. Alright, so the Ranger Badge is an attachment, clothing, and aid. It costs 2 spirit and requires 2 spirit, which I do have, that's good. Has 2 explorations and a knowledge icon, and it has 3 XP. It says, attach to your roll, exhaust you and use 1 XP to ready your roll. Calypso's training and her confidence in your abilities helped you to believe in yourself and to push beyond your perceived limitations. That's super handy, and it doesn't even take a gear slot either. That's really nice. Okay. So that was that. Let us try to do a traverse test here. That's exhausted, so I can go past it, and it doesn't fatigue me. The fetid bog still is a 0 presence, and the worm is still a 0 presence. So I am a 3 versus a 3. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll try it. 3 versus 3. 0. I succeed. If I had failed that, I would have suffered an injury. And we get 3 progress. So we have enough progress to leave this location, but we still don't know how to get to the Marsh of Rebirth. Blue Mountain. So if there's another Hydra Worm, there is not. This is exhaust my roll or fatigue. Now I'm going to exhaust my roll. I don't want any more fatigue. And that is fatigued. Or that is exhausted. I don't need to worry about it. All right. I'm going to spend 2 awareness to get my goggles out so I can do some scouting of the path deck. Let's try to connect with the worm again. 2 versus 1. I succeed with an effort of 2. So we're up to 7 of 9. So Uru can take care of that one next turn if I want to. Yellow Sun says, ready a path card, which is going to be the Black Mud. And the worm says if it has any damage, which it does not. And I got to reshuffle that. That is it. I've been getting the Yellow Sun reshuffle card a lot the last 2 or 3 games I've played. Maybe I need to do a better job of shuffling or something. Okay. Let's try to remember my ranger training 1-to-1. At this point, I'm looking for Eagle Eye. I've got my goggles so I can do some scouting, but I'm looking for Eagle Eye so I can scout deeper. So 1-to-1. +1, I succeed. It's the yellow reshuffle again. What the heck? All right. Anyway, oh, and I'm using, as always, when I scout, I use the headset. So I succeed with an effort of 2, +1, so I get to scout 3 cards and draw 1. My vaulting rod, my canoe, and another headset. I'm going to put all 3 on the bottom. And then draw the top card, my cloak. All right, and now effect, I have to ready a path card. There's no path cards to ready. The worms have no damage, so nothing there. I just have to reshuffle the challenge deck again. All right, nothing else for me to do. So we are going to choose to rest. Which does cause the weather to flip over. these cards and my roll. Get my energy back. And draw a card, which is Walk With Me. And now we draw a path card. It is an intrepid marmot. Being prey mammal. Comes in within reach. 1 presence, 2 harm threshold, 3 progress threshold, focus plus exploration 2 to discern the movements of the courageous rodent to exhaust this being and add 1 progress to it and 2 progress to a feature for every 2 effort. All right. So I'm going to spend 1 to get a boundary sensor out. I am now going to try to traverse the black mud. I am a 2 versus a 1. I'm going to just write it. 2 versus 1. 0, I succeed, but I can only put a maximum of 1 progress per test. So I'm only at a 1 there. All right, Blue Mountain. Nothing in the weather, nothing at the locations, nothing at the missions. There's no other Hydra Worm in the area. This one is either I exhaust my roll or I suffer fatigue, so I will exhaust my roll. This, if there's an active predator, which there is, and this says exhaust your roll. Well, I've already exhausted my roll. All right, so the Marmot says, if there's an active predator, which the Hydra Worm is a predator, exhaust it and add harm to this being equal to that predator's presence. And since it has a presence of 0, I add no harm. Here's a question. So can I use Walk With Me? So it's a response. After you succeeded a traverse test, add progress to a being. To a being. Never mind. Equal to my effort. Does it make sense to do that? Not really. Not really. I was going to try to do the Intrepid Marmot to add progress to a feature, but I am a 1. It is, again, my dump stat, so the focus is just a 1. Blarg. All right. So let us... Oru is going to move the Marmot along, add 2 progress. We're going to try to sketch the black mud. So I am a 2 versus 1 on this test. I succeed, so I get to add sketches equal to that card's presence value, so I get to add 1 to 4. Blue Mountain, nothing, not an active predator, exhaust my roll, already exhausted. Next, I am going to use the sketchbook, exhaust it, spend 1 sketch to exhaust the... Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't have any awareness energy to be able to do that. So, never mind that. Oy. No, I'm not going to bother to try to connect with things at this point. I'm not going to waste a sketch to do that. So I am going to rest. And I'm going to choose not to travel. So we're just going to ready everything up. refresh my tokens, draw a card into a Paratrepsis Whistle, and draw a path card. Yeah, it was only a matter of time. Hydra Worm. Okie dokie. Well, my turn. I am going to exhaust Uru, and I'm going to clear that other Hydra Worm. Or am I? Because that's a presence of 0. Let me think on that. All right, this time I'm going to exhaust the sketchbook. And I'm going to exhaust the mud. Yeah, well, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to Uru the Marmot to clear it out with presence. Or with progress. Now I am going to do a Hydra Lens Goggle using a drop, and I'm going to use the headset. So I am a 2 versus a 1. I don't have any knowledge icons to commit. I don't actually need to dodge the Hydra Worm because I am not interacting past it. I'm using the Hydra Lens Goggle, so I'm interacting with this card here. -1, so I succeed with an effort of 1. Photoshop headset says I get to do an extra 1, so I get to look at the top 2 cards. Ben Amon and a Black Mud. I will put Black Mud on the bottom. I will put Ben Amon on top. I think. The problem is I know there are more Hydra Worms in the deck, so I'm not sure if I want to deal with them right now. So, yep. We're just going to get Ben out. I'm not going to read his entry. If I convince him of things, then he can take me long distances. All right, I am going to try a traverse test on the Black Mud using 1 fitness energy and 1 boundary sensor. So I'm at 2 versus... blue challenge effect. I'm sorry. Nothing, and nothing, because the Hydra Worms are if there is another Hydra Worm in the same area, which there is not. All right, so I am a 2 versus a 1. Yeah, I guess I need to exhaust my roll from the Fetid Bog. So 2 versus 1. Succeed. So I get to add another progress. Red challenge effect, so that's not great. So exhaust this being and suffer an injury. Then exhaust this being. Actually, I'm going to do Ben first. If there's an active predator, exhaust it. And then add harm to this being equal to that predator's presence. So we're going to do that rather than taking the second injury. I am now going to spend 1 spirit to play Healing Touch, which heals an injury from a ranger. I will now do another traverse test with that. So I am a 2 versus a 1 again. +1, so I succeed with an effort of 3. Which is going to be enough to clear the obstacle. I'm just debating on if I want to play Walk With Me to put some progress on a Hydra Worm. So it is after you succeed, which I did, add progress to it being equal to your effort. My effort was 3. Even if I could only put 1 on the Black Mud, my effort was still 3. So I could use this card to put 3 progress in the Hydra Worm. Why don't I do that? These Hydra Worms are not something I want sticking around. And that is about all I can do. I don't have... The only other thing I could do is try to remember my ranger training, but... Oh, and that was a yellow sun. I got to do that. 3, that fatigues me. The location says ready a path card. We'll do that worm, and the worm just says if it has damage, which it doesn't. So that's that. So do I want to try it? Sure, we'll try it. 1-1. +1, I succeed. So that means with an effort of 2, so I could look at 2 and draw 1. Okay. So sketchbook is going on the bottom. I also got Riri, which is nice, but I've already got my goggles out. And I don't really want to do damage to these worms. So I'm going to put both of these on the bottom and then just draw the top card. Eagle Eye, beautiful. That's what I need. All right, so now red challenge effect. Nothing from weather, nothing from location. From the worm over there, it says exhaust this being and suffer 1 injury. Poop. I should have... Well, no, because if I would have done this, the one closer, then Ben would have gotten attacked. I would have either had to take the injury or Ben would have died, which is not something that I would want. All right, I have nothing. And then Ben says if there's an active predator, there is not. So I'm going to choose to rest. Because I'm injured, I have to fatigue 1. Get my energy back. Ready all the cards. Draw a card into another copy of Oru, and now a path card. Oh, not good. Another Hydra Worm. This is problematic. All right, let's spend 1 to healing touch myself. That sounds really bad. I'm going to spend 1... Actually, no, before I do that. Oru is going to move this Hydra Worm along. Part of me is thinking I should just get rid of the one that's got the... Yeah, you want to know what? Let's do that instead. We're going to get rid of the one that has a Reclaimer Slime on it, just because that's 1 less one that'll be active to potentially hit the red crest. All right. We are now going to spend 1 for Eagle Eye, which we're going to use our headset on. So we're looking at the top 4 cards and then drawing 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got a Reclaimer Seeker. That's going on the bottom. Marmot, Cash, and Polyp. Okay, so Cash is going on top. Everything else is going on the bottom. And then we draw the Ranger cache. All right, red crest. Oh no, red crest. That's bad. I should have used my sketchbook for... Oh no, wait a second. What am I doing? I didn't take a test. That was the last... I didn't take a test, so I don't have to worry about that. So, all right. I am going to use the sketchbook and use 2 sketches to exhaust, I don't know, this guy. I am going to try that Ranger cache test. I am going to exhaust my roll to dodge that Hydra Worm. So I am a 1 versus a 2. 0, I fail. And if you fail, move your Ranger token to this feature and add 1 token to one of your equipped gears. So I'm going to add it to my sketchbook. And then this clears out. Blue, I either have to exhaust my Ranger roll, which is already exhausted, or suffer a fatigue. And Hydra Worm is if there is another Hydra Worm in the same area, spread out and move this being, which there is, so... Ugh. Okay. Dun dun dun. All right. I don't have enough energy to scout. I have another copy of Uru, but there's no point really. I could try a traverse test. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to traverse the fetid bog. So I'm going to spend 3 and a boundary sensor. So I'm a 3 versus a 0. Well, technically a 1. Every test has a minimum of 1. -1. I succeed with an effort of 3. So I was 4 versus 1. So I get to add 3 progress to it. And then I'm going to spend 1 spirit energy to walk with me. And then after you succeed at a traverse test, which I just did, add progress to a being equal to your effort. So that was an effort of 3. We're going to put it on that Hydra Worm. Now, blue challenge effect. Unfortunately, the fetid bog pings me for 1 more. And then the Hydra Worm, there's not another Hydra Worm at the same location, so that is fine. All right, that's all I'm going to do. So we are going to rest. I'm not going to travel because I can't travel yet. So, well, I can't get to Marsh of Rebirth yet. Let me rephrase that, which is where I'm trying to go. So we ready all the cards. Ready our... return our energy. Draw a card. Really need you to be an eagle eye. Nope. And now I draw a path card. It's another Hydra Worm. Shoot. I think I'm pretty much toast in this. Problem is, all right, I gotta deal. I either rest, just admit that I'm going to not get this, or I'm going to have to and just rest every turn just so I fatigue out, or I got to deal with at least a couple of these Hydra Worms so I don't get 3 injuries. All right. We're going to use a sketchbook in the last 2 sketches to exhaust one of these. We are going to use Oru to bring this Hydra Worm back and add 2 progress to it. So we are at 8 out of 9. We are now going to play the game of spending 2 to kick out this copy of Oru with a new copy of Oru. And you can do that. And then I'm going to use this newly refreshed Oru to push the Hydra Worm away, which will be enough to clear the progress on it. Okay. We are now going to... Let's try to pet our dog. So a 3 versus a 1. +1, I succeed, so I get to ready and soothe a fatigue. My vaulting rod. Alright, yellow sun, I get fatigued 1. And that's pretty much going to do it. Ready a... The location says ready a path card. And then this is if it has damage, which it does not. So I think I'm pretty much toast here. But we will try one more time. So we are going to use our Hydra Lens goggles, one of our drops. We're going to use our headset. We're going to use 2 energy. We're going to use the vaulting rod. So I am a 3 versus a 1. +1. Okay. So I am a +1. So I get to look at 4 cards and draw 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Black Mod, Heart of the Swamp. That's the card I need, but I am not going to be able to make it. Oh yeah, I forgot when I took injuries, I was supposed to clear out my fatigue sack. I always forget that step. So I'll put Heart of the Swamp on top. Pretty much everything on the bottom, it doesn't matter. And I draw the Heart of the Swamp. It is a feature, trail, water, goes along the way, has 0 presence, 5 per ranger threshold, and you do Spirit plus Explore to imagine life as a Hydra Worm, to intuit the location of their lair, and add progress equal to your effort. And then if you clear it with progress, set this card aside. When you next travel, you may travel to the Marsh of Rebirth. So, I found what card gets me there. Unfortunately, it was too far down in the deck for me to be able to do anything about it. But, here we go. For the last hour, the ground under your feet has been growing soggier. The rich scent of loam and decay fills your nose. Finally, you walk under a corridor of arching boughs, draped with hanging moss, and find yourself standing on a narrow spit of dry land, leading into a morass of black water, vines, and cypress trees. You found a path that leads to the Marsh of Rebirth. That is spiffy. However, we need to do the red challenge effect. Nothing on weather, nothing on location, nothing on missions. Nothing along the way. Oh, but wait. Hydra Worm, exhaust this being, suffer 1 injury. Hydra Worm, exhaust this being, suffer 1 injury. And this says, if there's an active predator, exhausted and add. I don't want to kill Ben Amon, so we're going to take 1 injury, which discards this whole deck. Then we take a second injury, because it's only 3 injuries that the day ends. And then now there's no active predator. All right. I am going to choose to do nothing else. That I need to reshuffle the challenge deck, but it doesn't matter. Because I am going to choose to rest. I have to fatigue 2, 1. Oh, I run out of cards, so my day has ended. I have fatigued out. All right, not quite the day I was hoping for. I was hoping to at least get to the Marsh of Rebirth, but at least now I know what I'm looking for. So I gotta dig hard for my goggles and the eagle eyes and my phonoscopic headsets, so I can scout the deck and get this Heart of the Swamp card in as fast as possible so I can clear it out. All right, well, as always, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate anybody who takes the time to watch any of my game videos. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button. You want to see more of this game or the other games I play, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you saw any gameplay mistakes besides the injury, discard the fatigue stack, leave a comment below. If you want to yell at me for being an idiot, because I constantly forget to discard my fatigue stack when I take an injury, feel free, drop it in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching and have a great evening.